Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I am so excited to finally be able to get to share this story. I've been waiting a long time to share this story, but this is kind of like a story of firsts. It's my first time ever to the great state of Wyoming. It is my first time ever getting a deer with a rifle in my life. I'm 27 and it's my first mule deer ever. I grew up, in the eastern part of the United States in New York, hunting public ground with my bow for whitetails. I never had many opportunities to get out there with a rifle just because of where I lived, and it was, out of my reach basically. But like anyone, I of course dreamed of getting out to the Rockies and hunting up in the mountains. And this journey kind of started back in 2021. I had the opportunity to go out to the great state of Utah, spend a couple months out there, and I spent basically every waking second of my free time going and hiking around the mountains, looking for mule deer sheds, looking for elk sheds. And of course, I only found a couple of chalky sheds and a couple of dinker sheds, but you know what? I was having a blast. It was a great time, and I learned an incredible amount about navigating the mountains, about mule deer, about how they move, about how elk move and navigate the mountains. And that spring, I decided, you know what? Who knows when the next time I'll be back out west is. Let me just buy a spring bear tag. I was leaving Utah, and I only had about 2 to 3 days to go do a spring bear hunt. So I went up to Idaho and had two of the most incredible days I've ever had in the mountains, seeing hundreds of elk, mule deer, bighorn sheep, everything. It was incredible. But I left that trip saying this.
Like, I saw it all, except bears. But I mean, hopefully, like, this hunt is like, I don't even know what the word is called, but like, it's basically like the start of something good. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, my first Western big game hunt in the books. Total success for me. I learned so much because,
So, like I said, it was the start of something good to come, right? I had no idea I was going to be able to go back out west 2 more times. I had no idea I was going to be able to go on my first mule deer hunt ever, right? But I had a feeling something good was coming. All right, so fast forward to April of 2022. I'm in Arizona, and I'm like, you know what? Let me apply for a tag next year. Maybe something can happen. I go look at all the states. Everything's closed except Wyoming. So pay the extra couple bucks, get the license that has better odds, and it's a long shot that I'm going to get the tag even with that special license. But July rolls around, I get the great news that I pulled both my pronghorn and in this case my mule deer tag. So now it's time to start prepping. So I spent the next couple months reading through the forums, scouting on X, spending a ton of time on Wyoming's Fish and Game website, just doing all the research that I can to help prepare myself before I get there. Now, if you listen to what these people say in the forums, you'd probably never go hunting. But from what I'm reading, everyone is just saying that this unit is horrible, that they go on a trip there and they see absolutely no deer. So, like I said, you can't listen to the just jockeys and you can't listen to the keyboard warriors, but it doesn't put a good image in your head. So, late September rolls around, and I make the drive all the way from eastern New York all the way out to Wyoming to start the first leg of this journey, which is going to be archery hunting for pronghorn. I get to do that for about 20 days. Then it's closing in on October 15th, opening day of mule deer season for the unit that I'm hunting. Make the drive across the state, get to my unit to start the second leg of this journey and hopefully harvest my first mule deer. All right, hey everybody, so it is the Tuesday before the opener mule deer season. I was here yesterday at the range getting my reps in. I was shooting out to 400, feeling good. Then at the end of the day, started shooting a little funky, so went home, cleaned the gun. I think just because I shot a lot yesterday, so my shots were kind of getting a little off because my rifle was a little dirty. So back out here again today. Gonna be mainly shooting at 200, and then once I know I'm dialed in at 200, then I'll start poking out again to 3 and 4. So with my rifle sighted in and my confidence in my shot feeling really good, it was opening day and it was time to start hunting. On this trip, one of my best friends joined me. He made the trip all the way from eastern New York to come walk around the mountains with me. Didn't have a tag in his pocket, and I don't know many people that would literally just fly across the country just to come walk around the mountains with you with no hopes of even getting anything himself. We didn't know what we were walking into on opening day, if there would be tons of people and pressure, or if we would have the whole unit to ourselves. But we started up the mountain uncertain of what was to come. That morning, we headed to the tallest peak in that part of the unit to a spot that would be good for glassing the whole morning. We would get the opportunity to glass down several big different drainages. As we glassed and hiked, three things became apparent. First, the wind was absolutely relentless. With this unrelenting wind, me and my friend came to our second realization, which was that the deer had to be holed up somewhere, which led us to our third realization that there was absolutely zero cover in this part of the unit besides just the roll of the mountain. After hiking several miles and finding a couple of small and chalky sheds that morning, we headed for a greener part of the unit. Right away, we knew we made the right decision when we saw a mule deer doe just standing off the side of the road. We immediately got out of the car and headed up to our first glassing knob. With it being later in the afternoon, we didn't want to push in super deep and risk bumping anything because we knew this might be a good spot to come back to in the morning.
Same way we get here like in the dark and then
Tripped.
so I felt that.
That's really what it was, is that I tripped.
The next morning, after walking up to our glassing knob under the clear and starry western skies, we watched the sunrise, optimistic that we would lay eyes on our first mule deer buck of the trip. But as early morning carried on and still no sightings of deer, we decided to hike up the mountain to glass up some new country.
Alright. This is the first shed I'm actually going to just let sit here. Oh, it broke.
As the morning gave way to midday and the midday lull kind of came upon us, we packed up our stuff and headed for the car. We decided to use midday to run back over to the other side of the unit to scout out some new country, but with no luck. There was tons of hunters, tons of pressure, and a similar theme, absolutely no deer. During our midday scout though, we did get the opportunity to talk to 6 different ranchers. A couple of them drove their trucks up to us just to chat. We pulled over to talk to a couple of others. And when it kind of got around to what we were hunting for and we told them we were hunting for mule deer, they all had the same reaction. They all literally laughed and said that they haven't seen a mule deer in a very long time. They basically said that the winters in that area have been horrendous the past couple of years and basically have laid waste to the mule deer population. But in trying to get some local knowledge and maybe permission to get onto private land with no luck, we head back to the other side of the unit that we hunted that morning and the previous afternoon. When we got back to the other side of the unit where we were hunting that morning, it became apparent that way more hunters had started to file in. We saw tons of more trucks, we saw tons more people walking the roads. So me and my friend sat there scouring the maps to kind of come up with a game plan. We decided we were going to scout out a route to make this huge 10-mile push as the crow flies around this huge piece of private land to access some public on the backside and hopefully access some country that doesn't have as much pressure. As luck would have it, we were sitting there, the landowner drove by, and we were able to talk to the landowner and get permission just to cut through his property for the next 3 days. We were able to now basically have all this land just to ourselves. It cut our big trek from 10 miles to 5 to get up the mountain. When we drove through his land and got to the public on the other side, immediately we knew we made the right decision. We weren't sitting there glassing the mountaintop for 5 minutes when my buddy spotted our first real mule deer of the trip.
Dude, those things are up there.
That's far, for sure. There's a 2-track there that goes in front of them that we can't come in on because they'll see us. I think we probably go up to the peak.
Dude, I want to say that's a buck, but I can't tell.
I can't see it all.
However, there were 2 problems. First, these deer were at the top of the unit. And not only were they at the top of the unit, they were literally on the divide between the unit we could hunt and the unit we couldn't hunt. So if we were to go up there the next morning, we would have to be incredibly careful not to spook these deer up and out of the unit that we could hunt. The second problem was going to be just getting to these deer. It was 5 miles as the crow flies to get there, through a maze of private and public land, that on the only route we could take, there was a sheer cliff we were going to have to navigate down and up on our way in and out. But those were both going to be problems we were going to have to solve in the morning. Knowing that this might be our only opportunity of the trip, we got to the spot well before sunup. We wanted to make sure that we were at our glassing knob before sunrise because there was absolutely zero cover between where we started walking up the mountain and where those deer were the previous day. As we ran up the mountain that morning, as one does, we grossly underestimated how far this hike would be. But like I said, it was about 5 miles and about 3,000 feet in vert to climb to get to our first glassing knob. But we didn't do too bad. We got to our first glassing knob about 30 minutes after sunrise. So we spent that morning slowly glassing our way up the mountain. We would glass for a little bit, peek over a ridge, back off, move over, peek back up over the ridge, just slowly taking our time, making sure we were leaving no stone unturned, making sure we were keeping the wind good, because this might be our only opportunity. It was about 10:45 when me and my buddy just had finished glassing this big drainage. We were sitting on our stomachs, looking at the drainage when we made the decision we were going to make the next push up to the mountaintop. As we both turned over onto our backs, down in the drainage behind us, there was about 30 mule deer, about 250 to 300 yards away. So my friend and I frantically get our binos up, start scanning all the heads of these mule deer, and every single one's the same. Clean, no antlers, clean, no antlers, clean, no antlers. I feel like I looked through all these mule deer twice, praying that I'm going to see some antlers. And finally, my buddy says he sees antlers, and he walks me into the mule deer, and it's a spike. Now, after some quick back and forth, we decide that I'm going to take this mule deer. My buddy only has 1 day left to hunt with me, and I have another 12 days to hunt. But I would 1000% rather get a mule deer, my first mule deer, with my best friend by my side, than hunt the next 12 days by myself and get a mule deer and not be able to share that experience with anyone else.
God. What sucks?
They're just sitting there. Come on, guys. Spook, spook.
He's dead. Yep, that's him, dude. First deer with a rifle. First deer with a rifle, dude. Yeah.
That's even better.
Oh.
Hell yeah.
This is crazy. This is insane. Dude, my first deer with a rifle is a mule deer. Oh, it's crazy. He's right here, dude. His nose is sticking up right there.
There we go.
Holy crap, dude. Yep, we got antlers.
Hey,
We got antlers.
we got antlers. You got him here. Let me get behind you.
No, we're good. You can stay right there. We're good.
Trying to get out of this blood stuff. All the blood that's over here, you got him. Mule deer, dude.
Mule deer
Out
down.
here, mule deer down.
Back and meat out. Shoo! One break, and then we're gonna finish it out.
Packing the out is no joke.
All the way up there. Oh. Shoo! Get my hat down so that's squinting.
Perfect, dude.
All right,
Just
then
the-
just one
straight
one
up.
backs,
Backs.
meats.
Meats. Mountains.
Woo!
Plains.
Let's go.
All
Thank
these
you.
things.
All right,
Meats.
the meats has been acquired.
Oh, I'm taking the boots off.
Yeah, get them boots off. Meats has been acquired.
You wanna,
Yeah, I got you. Woo!
Believe it or not, it's actually over a year later now, and I still have some of that mule deer meat left in my freezer. I like saving it for times where I have friends and family over and I get to make them a nice meal and get to kind of relive that day. But long after the meat is gone, I'll still have those teeny tiny little antlers hanging up on the wall where I could look at those and think back to the days where me and my best friend were walking around the mountains, hiking our butts off in the great state of Wyoming. I do just have to say though, an absolutely huge thank you to my buddy. I don't know many people on this earth that would fly all the way from New York to Wyoming, go through hell, hiking through those crazy mountains out in Wyoming, just to watch me shoot a spike and help me get it off the mountain. I mean, that was an incredible amount of work, time that you gave me, and I will have those memories for the rest of my life till I'm old and gray and I can't be walking around the mountains hunting like I used to. Hopefully one day soon though, we'll be back out west hunting again and I'll be able to repay that favor. Thank you all for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this story. What an incredible DIY public land mule deer hunt. And I will see you guys on the next story.